Hey, so it says we're live. And of course, I'm starting a little early because I usually do. Um, but just kind of rant for a few minutes until people can come in. Let's see. My big rant right now would be the election. We all know, yeah, no, that's not what happened, right? Blue Washington. That's all I needed to know. This was before the other states were decided. The that couldn't possibly have gone blue. Wisconsin, Michigan. Uh, well, Wisconsin and Michigan going blue was when I was like, no, 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 no. But before that was Washington. No, that's bullshit. Everybody knows it. King County. Yeah, okay. The rest of the state, no. Try and bullshit somebody else, not me. Uh, let's see. What other rants can I get into? Just to kill these first 10 minutes. Um, yeah, I got a little rant about Donnie, of all things. I'm getting like 50 emails every day. I spend more time clearing those out than I do reading everything else. Now, granted, clearing those out combined, but it's stop already. Nobody likes spam. All right. Shit anime, still a thing. Uh, I did go over this, but there's a certain twatter personality who decided to bash on women's body armor because it's boob armor. Stupid bitch. I'm hey with with I am being a little careful, so uh because YouTube does not like me. In case that's news to anybody. Yeah, men's body armor kills women. Now, I only know of one case down in Florida. I want to say a northern Florida county sheriff's deputy. She was wearing men's armor because that's all that was available back then. She got shot only once. The other two, well, I don't know if the one got shot or not. It only said the other officer has been released from the hospital, but he got shot at least 3 times. He's still alive and she's dead. Yeah, it's because the armor, when the bullet struck her, it hit her, shoved her chest in because her breasts are pushing the armor away, shoved her xiphoid process into her heart. That's an unsurvivable injury. FWIF says them tube doesn't like anyone who isn't TYT or CNN. Gee, I was just talking about TYT. This water personality is a co-host on TYT. FWIF also says that's rough sounding. Yeah, yeah, probably is a pretty awful way to go. Um, and I'm going to go there. This was an intent, an intent, not an unintended consequence. The specific consequence was to get American military and law enforcement personnel killed. And that's it. This was second degree murder. Shame women into not wearing the armor that actually serves their protective purposes. And then say, oh, I didn't know. Yes, you did. You lying bitch. Okay. enough of that rant because we've still got 6 minutes to go. Today's topics we're going to be doing um, Rollie Pollies. That's a little gift from me to Kyle. She sent me a link, and unfortunately, I've lost it because I'm actually looking for it in the background for an article on roly polies and their use for, well, mostly for homesteaders. And yeah, well, this sucks. Here we go. There we go. That's better. Ah, I really love that YouTube decides how I want to see my channel for me. That's very much appreciated. Okay, body armor. Civil War survival for non-combatants. That's those of you that just want to get through this next 6 months, right? Whether you care who won or not, just you want to be alive at the other end. And others by request. So if you have a request, toss it into the chat. Believe me, I'm an asshole and I'm kind of mean, but I'm not irrational. I understand. Man, I still got to burn another 5 minutes. Actually, yeah, I'll let you all in on a little personnel management secret I learned from a chief petty officer. If you need to be ready by, let's say, 0900, you tell everybody formation is at 0800 because you know damn well somebody's going to be 15 minutes late. And you start going over everything about 0745. You start seeing who's walking in, do they have their gear, are they ready to get underway or go on the mission or whatever. 0800 comes and you start rounding the troops up, getting them down to the mess hall or buoy deck or wherever it is that you're going to put them so you can check them over. Then you got your stragglers coming in at 15 after. You owe me 10 push-ups or 15 push-ups or whatever it is. That's personnel management. And now you still got at least another 30 minutes before you're taking off. He was kind of specific about there being that 30-minute, you need to be here by, or I need your ass here by, and we're actually going to start separation. I don't know why. So yeah, that's real reason why I put it the way I do. I start about 10, 15 minutes before I'm actually supposed to, so that the early birds will have something like Troll earlier. He was 30 minutes early. Uh, F-Whiff here was, let's see, he was about 9 minutes early. So, and then there's going to be somebody who rolls in at 10 minutes till. 10 minutes till the end of the stream, by the way. That's usually me for live streams. If Chaplain Drew shows up, that would he'll tell you I'm always late. The joke is I'm going to be late to my own demise. Hey, Total, I saw that pop up. I had a buddy with punctuality issues. I would use the same trick to get him to be on time. See, so it's not a secret, but it's not commonly known. And by the way, Totes here is at least 2 minutes early. Well, at least a minute early, minute and change. The one that's surprising me is Meet to Kyle. Um, I'm going to guess that she's just being quiet for now. Hopefully, her other Takayo also shows up, but her other Takayo actually has a 9 to 5 job, so probably not going to make it. I'm really afraid of putting those two together. Be like twins, literally twins. Matter of fact, when I first found the, and I'm not going to throw her under the bus, so let's just call her Annie. When I first found Annie on Instagram, I actually reached out. Are you Mitakayo? No, that's not me. Oh, I reached the other way to meet Takayo and said, "Are you Annie?" And they both said, "No, that's not me." You two sound exactly the same. Yeah, they write about or they talk about the same subjects. They actually have roughly similar punctuation and spelling, which unfortunately is probably better than mine. So that's where I'm drawing from. Hey, oh, I'm sorry, that's total control. All right. Well, we are officially 1 minute over. So, from my Takayo, there is a story out there, and unfortunately, it's on my phone, but not on my laptop. I got a laptop. About how roly polies can be used to clean up at least some toxins in soil. Now, I'm going to put the link in the description as soon as I can email it to myself. I had a little bit of question about efficacy of this idea, but you know what? I'm willing to try anything. All right, as long as it's not ridiculous. Um, Nobody hates roly polies. All right, little kids love roly polies. It's like their favorite bug after ladybugs. So you dump a ton of roly polies in your front lawn where you know that there's been cars parked very, very quickly. And if it cleans up the oil and how did he leak? It's the stuff that comes out of your radiator fluid, and whatever the hell else he leaked, great. And if it doesn't, well, you got roly polies. In 2 months, you're going to have a lizard outbreak, and a week later, the lizards are going to go away. Literally, that's the worst of it. What have you lost? $20 for roly polies um down at a store? Okay. Uh Antifreeze, thank you, Total. Thank you, F with antifreeze. Yeah, those came through pretty much the same time. Sorry, guys. Um, yeah. Case study. This was sometime last year. Some guy lost control of his car. It just suddenly twisted. Now, I can say I have actually witnessed an axle break on a car. I was, I don't know, 100, feet away when I heard this crunch, grind. This was Sacramento Folsom Boulevard. It's a cross street. I forgot the cross street. Oh, Freeport. Actually, he's come down Freeport. When I heard the grinding and he pulls up onto my site and his axle had actually broke right then and there in the middle of the intersection. Oh, that sucks, right? He parked it there. He called the tow truck. I didn't call the cops about the everything else that I saw in the car and what I thought I smelled. You know what I mean? I just let him call the tow truck, haul the car off. It turns out that can really happen. Now, I think what really happened in this case is the kid was pretty, yeah. As he went through Dad's ditch, I think that's what broke his axle, and all of a sudden he's saying, "Oh, that's why I lost control." Yes, no. But in the process of going through Dad's gate, he didn't actually go through the gate. He went through the posts around the gate. Those are 8-inch oak. They're old 8-inch oak, but they were 8-inch oak. Totally fucked his car. The tow truck actually had to bring some specialty equipment to haul this thing off because there's no way to pull it up onto the truck without destroying the truck in the process. That's how bad it was. Okay. Now he's got antifreeze and oil and probably some fuel that's dumped out onto Dad's lawn. We had to put some plywood over it to just to give it some time to settle in. But now we'll get some Rollie pulleys and turn them loose and see if we can get it cleaned up. I sent him the money last week. I don't know. I think he's done it though, and it's worth a shot, right? Okay, moving on to the subjects at hand. Body armor. For those of you that have actually read Dataslav, body armor is included as something that is protected. I'm going to cut to the chase here. There's literally only 3 things that are not protected that are, that are regulated. Machine guns, continuously fed weapons, automatic and/or burst fire weapons. In other words, by a single squeeze of the trigger, the gun will go bang twice if you let it, twice or more. And explosive and incendiary munitions. As I was getting ready this morning, I noticed that there was a video, it was by Grand Thumb, saying you can legally own a grenade launcher, not a flare launcher, which I assume, 40 millimeter, not a flare launcher, which, yeah, actually under Dataslav, you could own a grenade launcher. You just couldn't have the grenades to launch them. Sorry. You could have training rounds, chalk rounds, shot rounds, that's a thing. Radio antenna rounds. That's actually a thing. That's Mark 70 something. You could have the launcher, but to get the grenades, you'd actually have to have the special license. Well, okay, that's unfortunate, but that's the worst thing that happens in your life. Like, is this really a big deal? And it all comes down to a controllability issue. Grenades, incendiaries are not terribly controllable. Automatic and/or burst fire. You might be a great shooter, right? And the gun may be awesome, and you could put literally 2 rounds through the same hole. Not everybody's as good as you. And I'm just going to say it the way it is. You put 2 shots down range. The first one hits the bad guy, and the second one, as he's dropping, goes right past him into the next guy in line. That's not a good situation to be in. Machine guns have a really horrible track record for accuracy. You might hit the guy you were aiming at with the first round, but it's going to be everybody around him that gets hit after that. I'm actually somewhat flexible on the machine gun issue if we can prove that, yes, a semi-automatic machine gun is reliable and people can actually be trusted to do it in a safe and consistent manner. Total says, we live in a world where breathing normally is illegal. Anything is possible. Sometimes. There's We're on lockdowns again. So breathing normally is illegal here. Um, Not everything is possible though. If Dataslav ever gets passed, well, when it gets passed. But anyway, um, those three things would still be restricted, but not illegal. You do the what we today call class 3, you get your license, you can go and buy them all you want. It'd be like a $20 per $10 per unit transfer fee. That's it. Okay, so body armor, getting back onto the original subject, is actually protected. It is a specifically listed line under definitions. There's the definition section that says, okay, what is a machine gun? What is an assault weapon? What is a knife, pike? Actually, I didn't get into pikes. What is body armor? And then down under it is what is actually controlled, restricted, or whatever word you want to use. Body armor is not listed there at all. I didn't do that by mistake. All right. I sat there and thought about what is legitimately dangerous in a general public situation. And the original list had two more items that I don't even remember now because it didn't matter. I looked at no. It might have been flares. Probably not. Um, and I pared it down to what is dangerous. Well, what's dangerous about body armor? I mean, if you take your carrier off and start beating people with it, maybe. But then it's still just a reach weapon, a melee weapon, a bludgeon, right? That's it. On a related note, and the real reason I brought the subject up is the cost of body armor is going down. You might want to think about getting some. For those of you who are members of Sarge, um, I have links up there, so check that out. And if you're not a member of Sarge and you have a Facebook account, start searching. You'll find it. All right. Get some if you can. I would love to hear that there's been a run on the market of body armor and seeing leftists about it. Because, oh, we can't get body armor now. Oh, yeah, you don't need body armor. You're the ones shooting people. You don't need the body armor. We do. Okay, our FWIF says there's a new kind of armor that is soft and flexible. Okay, well, you just described three different things. I'm going to assume you don't mean spider silk because that's still in development. They're having problems getting the silk. I do know an Air Force cadet. Well, correction. I know she was Air Force, and I think she was a third-year cadet. Came up with a new trick for body armor that well, I don't entirely understand, but somehow there's a gelatin that when the body armor is struck, the gelatin activates and slows the bullet down. That was awesome, man. Um, Unfortunately, I think it's going to be so expensive that it'll be impractical for anybody that doesn't have state resources, military, police, a few others. And I know that there was one more. And I absolutely know FWIF is not talking about Kevlar because Kevlar's almost body armor is almost as old as I am. Um, Forgot his name, but he's the guy that formed Second Chance Body Armor. His first experiment, well, his first demonstration, I think, was early 80s. His first experiments were back in the 70s. I was born in 76, so almost as old as I am. And I think the pizza incident was actually, no, that was 82. Um, I'm going to go out there and say this. There's body armor out there for $250. Get it. Just order a set. Even if you only order one set, you only ever wear that one set when you think you're going to need it, go ahead and order it. Or put it in a box and wait until you hear that your city's on fire and then get it out of the box. Um, yeah, and kind of related subject, we really should be supporting the people who are developing new armors because that is a social necessity and not just a financial or profit motivated industry. Now, supporting them means loan them money that once their product is successful, they can then turn around and repay the money. Um, but yeah, we really should be helping these industries go. Ah, get that body armor, and even if it is a month's pay, get the money up, get the armor. I know there's a certain individual who has what I think right now is best of the best armor out there. And I know because I'm the one paying the loan that made that happen. Fortunately, the loan was from uh, Fix, who had some other issues come up that the $600 I still owe her is a secondary concern. Ironically enough, there's like five people who owe me more than that who suddenly can't remember who I am. FWIF, did I cover the the new type of armor, or is there something else you know about that I've never heard of? Go ahead and say it. I'd love to hear about new innovations. Y'all would be real shocked to hear this. My history degree is centers around science, technology, and society and the way they fit together, right? Science of the Black Plague era was almost in name only, right? Black Plague hits Europe, and how did that affect society? How did the medicine that existed at the time affect society? That was actually one of my final papers is medicine and, and Black Plague in medieval Europe. And I got an A on that paper. Part of the reason I got that A is I didn't sit there and say the doctors of medieval Europe were quacks who shouldn't be trusted to tie their own shoes. I gave them the respect that they deserved, which was that their knowledge of medicine was not as good as today's. If I had known about it at the time, I would have talked about Listerine and the Civil War instead. Listerine was developed as an antiseptic for wounds and injuries, like 15 years after the war ended. If it had existed during the war, how would that have changed the outcome? It would have really changed it, wouldn't it? Okay, I gotta catch up. FWIF says soft armor 3 alpha on this website for order, and it's legit. I believe you, and I'm gonna say it's probably Safeline or oh god damn it, it's the type that I owe money on out of Katy, Texas. Shit, I can't believe I forgot. Oh, Vets Manufacturing. Watched a review. It really is flexible like Kevlar, but it's certified. Yeah, guys, FWIF is not at all exaggerating or mistaken. As long as the company's legit, because there's a couple of companies out there that no, they're not. But most of the ones that I've heard about are, and there is um, Flexible 3 Alpha. They advertise on Facebook so much. Nobody likes spam. Come on, guys. Right? If I had the $350, I'd have ordered by now. Excuse me. That they also have a video demonstrating their armor being shot by, I think, an AK with a bunch of balloons around it. FWIF is that the guys you're talking about? Total Control says, sad that we need armor and firearms to defend against government fascists. Biden's not in office yet. Now, I know everybody's going to hate me for saying that. I don't care. Rule number 1 of this channel is you have to be honest. Biden's not in office yet. He hasn't turned his his SA loose yet. He's trying to. But until he actually has those levers of control, there's not much he can do. All right, moving on. FWIF. I don't know if it's as rare and exclusive as you think it, bros. Nope, not the case. Okay. FWIF says he doesn't know if it's as rare and exclusive as I think it is. No, it's not rare. It's not exclusive. It's just nobody. How many of you know that there is a for you gamer or for you non-gamers, I guess I should say, you know what dice are? How many of you know that there's a 100 face die out there? 99% of you, no clue. Hell, I've only seen a photograph of one time. Now you know it exists, and I'm sure everybody watching this later, they're going to hit the pause button and they're going to, go straight to Google 100-sided dice. Oh my God, that's a thing. Hell, that was my reaction. That was like 96, 98, somewhere around there. And FWIF also said, no, not the guys. Well, okay. You're talking about one outfit. I'm talking about another. I probably know about the one outfit. Uh, Soft 3 Alpha. Well, actually, there's 3, and I'm Safeline and damn, what are the other 2? I don't. Well, maybe Vets Manufacturing does do 3 Alpha soft, and I just didn't know. I was so obsessed with the one armor, which was something that supposedly could never exist. I admit I didn't go over the rest of their catalog. DM Foss says a word that I can't use on Facebook or YouTube rather, and he's right. I also can't pronounce it right. Totes says total control has learned one lesson very, very quickly. Total honesty here. Biden is a brain damaged, hollow shell of a man. The fascists are in control, occupy both sides of the political aisle. Actually, there is some truth to that, right? Actually, there's a lot of truth to that. There are fascists, and they aren't Republican or Democrat, right? They're fascists. They're actually, in my belief, is that they're cooperating to some degree, right? They don't like each other. You know, oh, you're a Republican, right? But they are cooperating to at least some degree to get to the same point. Believe me, the camps are the least of your concerns once those people start getting what they really want. And the party that they say they're affiliated with, those people are actually going to be the first ones hauled off. Um, I know this is not going to be a particularly popular opinion. AOC, they're going to haul her off to the camps for not being uh, loyal enough to the party. They might spare her because she has been fighting their battle for them, but chances are, yeah, they're gonna haul people like her off. Even if you're not enough of the faith, they they'll make you disappear. FWIF says, guys, I'm looking at cell 3 alpha plus stab 2. I didn't even know stab 2 was a thing. I know stab resistant, and I know I shouldn't say bulletproof or stab proof. Should be saying resistant. I don't care if you don't like it. But I didn't know there was levels of stab protection. See, I just learned something. FWIF, can you send me a link? I probably have seen these guys before. I'm just not remembering off the top of my head. Total Control says AOC is being pumped and dumped by Pelosi. Pelosi? Pumped and dumped, yes. Pelosi behind it? Maybe. I can't say he's full of shit. I can just say maybe. Thank you, FWIF. As soon as we're done here today, I'm going to take a look at that. All right. We are now almost 30 minutes in. Before I go too far into how to survive the next 2 years, really, but 6 months, the first 6 months of 2021, absolutely. Let me tell you what this world is going to look like. All right. First of all, you're going to hear about daily mass shootings. And these are going to be at events that are more likely to be associated with right wing than moderate or leftists, because leftists don't want to actually kill each other. They just want to kill all of the right wingers that they can find. Um, you're going to hear very so often about a mass shooting at a place more associated with the left. But then you look into the guy's background, either he's religiously motivated, Pulse nightclub, or he is a leftist and he's did this to try to distract everybody from what he's really doing. Um, but yeah, you're going to hear more along the lines of the Route 99 incident. Um, oh, damn. You're going to hear about shootings in Portland, Seattle, maybe DC. I think they'll go so far as to actually shoot people in DC. There's already been one riot in DC. What was it? Last week? Yeah, well, it was sometime last week that resulted in fires in DC. Now, I thought that wasn't going to happen until April, May ish. Here we are, November, and there's already been at least a couple of fires in DC. That's a pretty bad sign. Um, so large scale riots. We're talking 400 or 500 people, bare minimum, involved. Buildings being burned to the ground, shootings, and whether they're associated with the riots directly or not, a little more flexible. Ooh, uh, and I'm saying this. There's going to be a bombing, and at least one. The Boston Marathon bombing is the model that they will base it on. Oh, excuse me. Put the explosive materials into a pressure chamber. Pressure chamber in a place where it'll cause fear, and off it goes. And what you're not going to see, and I noticed that there's a comment from Total Control, federal government is going to do literally nothing about it. As a matter of fact, if Biden is still in the White House, and probably if Kamala has taken over by this point, the official White House position is give them room to express themselves, or whatever bullshit story they give. Absolutely no attempt to condemn the violence, right? Or to take any real action towards it. Most of y'all forget that early on during Charlottesville, there was talk about maybe sending the National Guard in, but that it was an overreaction, but it's violent, but it's an overreaction, right? So at the end of the day, Donnie didn't send the National Guard. He finally started sending the National Guard towards the ends of these Floyd related riots, the BLM riots, which big asterisk on that one. That's when he started saying, I'm getting a little tired of hearing mayors and governors not doing it. Personal theory is he was waiting for his second term to start being the real asshole. He wanted people to think that he was being magnanimous during his first term, and may not have worked out as well as he had hoped. I do believe that the election was rigged. I don't believe that every blue vote was a fake vote. There's people who they saw what happened in Seattle and said, I don't want anything to do with that, but he's not doing anything, so I guess I'm going to have to do something else. Biden will go the exact opposite route. He and Kamala will, excuse me, Joe, and Kamala will go the exact opposite. Oh, we have to give them room to express themselves. Well, room to express themselves is flat out telling them, yeah, go ahead and riot. We're not going to do anything about it. And by God damn, you be rest assured, the moment they hear that right wingers were involved, they will step in with both jackboots faster than you can say jackboot. Okay, Total says Biden will have another stroke before the end of his first term. I agreed. I'm waiting for massive Silicon Valley bombing. Okay, let's talk about the stroke thing. Total says that he thinks Biden will have a stroke before the end of his first term. At least that will be the public statement. You watch right about December 2022, January 2023, and there's going to be news stories about irregularities at the White House and ambulances at the White House. A month or so later, he's going to be stepping down. Whether it's a stroke or heart attack or something else, for his health. And then Kamala will be getting sworn in basically the same day. Excuse me. Um, this will also be right about the same time when Congress is really looking into the election irregularities, like ballots appearing mysteriously in dumpsters, ballots appearing mysteriously at the back of polling centers with no supervision. Um, how computer code actually works, on and on. That's about the time that Biden's people are going to say, we're losing the game now. We got to take you out and put our closer in. And that's it. He's their opening pitcher, but they've always known he's not going to run the whole 9 innings. They might get him for 6 innings, but then they're going to have to put the relief pitcher in because he's going to be out. And it's literally because he knows that the game was rigged, and he's hearing the gongs or the trash cans, but he can only pretend for so long. If he's taken out at the 5th or 6th inning, people will stop looking, even though they're still hearing a trash can. And that's actually going to create more problems by itself. With Biden stepping down for his health under this cloud of suspicion about voting irregularities, leftists are going to start to turn on each other a little bit. And they're going to turn on each other a little bit. You didn't support him enough. You cheated and made me look like an asshole, but you didn't support him enough. Okay. And that's going to go on, but they're both going to say, and it's all Trump's fault. This is all Trump's fault. That's about the time I think you're going to see the first bombing. Okay. And Total said, agreed, I'm waiting for a massive Silicon Valley bombing. Make sure this is. Okay. Silicon Valley is not going to get bombed. Without revealing anything that I legally cannot reveal, you're not getting into Facebook or Twitter or YouTube's headquarters that way. All right, you're not going to be able to do anything to them. And if you find a way around that, great, but you're not going to do any real damage. I have contractual obligations that says I can't say anything more about that. But yeah, you're not going to do any real damage to them that way. Um, what will do damage to them is their pocketbook, take their money flow away, and all of a sudden they're going to understand, wait a second, our bottom line, if we don't do something, we're going to be not in business next year. I'm going to let y'all in on a secret that I have no contractual obligation to. YouTube is perpetually about 24 months from bankruptcy. Uh, Google, which owns, or I'm sorry, Fascist Book is perpetually about 24 months away from bankruptcy. Google is about 18 months away from bankruptcy, and Twitter is about 8 to 10 months away from bankruptcy. Okay, well, that sounds great. 3 bad months for each of those companies, and it's particular months, they're out of business. They will not be able to pay for their electricity, their payroll, and their other utility or other legitimate expense that I can't even remember. To survive losing all 3 months for 2 years in a row, Facebook would actually have to cut all dividends and all salaries for their top 1% of the company. They're that close. Twitter could not survive losing all 3 months in 1 year. They would be out of business. Twitter actually might not be able to survive 2 of the 3 months. And I'll tell you, one of them is October. I'm not sure about the other two because my Aussies aren't giving me clear answers and my Brits aren't giving me any answers at all. But it's the election months. Here in the US, it's November. Um, I'm not sure about well, Australia is kind of weird in general, right? And you Aussies know that's true. And Britain is Britain. Um, so what month it is for them, I don't know. If you can cripple all of, well, if you could even take away about half of their income for those 3 critical months, that's it. That's it. It's over. Oh, yeah, those 3 facilities will not be bombed. Well, will not be successfully bombed. Um, I also want to surround all 3 buildings, and I do mean Twitter's headquarters, YouTube, not Google, and not Alphabet, but YouTube in particular's headquarters and Fascist Book's headquarters, with people holding pitchforks and torches. Now, in the real world, pitchfork and torch is not a real weapon. You can hurt people with it, but no, it's the visual, it's the connotations. The peasants are pissed. Um, okay, catching up. Total Control says, yes, Biden never committed to 2 terms when asked. I was not aware of that. An unspoken implication of every presidential candidacy is you're going to run for 2 terms, right? So you shouldn't have to ask. The fact that he never committed and was asked, very telling. Total Control also says the government needs Silicon Valley's spyware platforms too much. Hold on to that thought. They will get taxpayer government subsidies before they go bust. Um, yeah, about that. There is some truth to the CIA spying on people through YouTube, uh, Fascist Book, Twitter, whatever. but more they're really just watching it's like watching Twitter as a television channel for them. Um, right? For them, it's more just the background noise, the television channel for them. They're spying on literally everybody all day, every day. Now, I'm not going to get into the deep, deep details here, but every time you use certain keywords, your file goes up a point. And if you get too many points in such and such a period, that's when they start looking at you more carefully. Now, I'm sure that they've got a file on me, and every once in a while I set my alarms off and somebody goes in and say, oh, it's that guy again, right? And I know I've been looked at before. You don't actually have to break into fascist books, computers to find out what you're talking about. You put it out there on your own. They just watch what you put out. Um, the other half of that equation is fascist book is spying on prison stint was for a private message I received. Not I sent, I received. Now, I received it. I was not unhappy to receive that one, but it was a video that was not appropriate for public viewing on fascist book, right? And Meet the Kaio is here. I saw that pop up. Unfortunately, you caught me right in the middle of a rant. I went over Rollie pollies. Thank you for that. You, Petticoat Betty, should have the ability to post links in the chat. So if you can find that link again, and post it, I'd appreciate that. I didn't transfer it from my phone. Sorry. Okay. So the next 6 months, we're going to see absolute chaos in the major urban centers mostly. Um, why San Francisco has not had a Seattle or Minneapolis style riot, I don't know. Right? We do know that they had some major protests last year, but nothing on the order of what we saw, especially in Minneapolis and Kenosha. Oh yeah, I went there. Um, Now, for those of you that don't know, it's public knowledge that Fixed Bayonets was at Battle of Berkeley. It's not public knowledge, really, that I was there. I wasn't involved in the fighting because where I was, my job was to drive the car in case we needed an escape route. Fixed Bayonets is actually on video having gotten hit at Berkeley, and she was not one of the Antifas. Neither one of us was at the Milo riot when they tried to burn a library to kill him. Right? Think about those words very carefully. Antifa was ready to burn a library to the ground in order to win. In order to kill one man, they were ready to burn this library to the ground. That kind of mentality with the power of the internet. What's that spell? Thank you. Goodhomedesigns.com. Study finds Rollie pulleys remove heavy metals. Oh, from soil, stabilizing ground conditions, protecting groundwater. Okay, so I guess it doesn't work on antifreeze oil after all. But hey, it's worth a shot, and I'm going to do it. Um, Betty, I was talking about earlier how some guy wrecked his car in my dad's front yard and spilled oil and antifreeze onto his lawn. And you know what? I'm going to try the roly polies on dad's lawn anyways. Um, but thank you for that. You also missed discussion on body armor, but I have a way of reaching you. I'm just going to send you the link. All right. Okay, so how do you get through the next 2 years if you want to stay out of the middle of the chaos? First of all, pay attention to the news. If you hear that there's going to be a Trump or Biden or other rally today, or if you hear that a controversial public figure, Milo or Anita or somebody else, is going to be in town, stay away from that part of town if you can. Um, Further away you are from the epicenter of the outbreak, the better off you are. As simple as that. Ah, when you leave, go exactly where you need. When you leave home during those time frames, go exactly where you need to go. Do what you have to do, and go home. Right? It's as simple as that as well. Carry 24/7. You know, the state I want to be in, concealed carry without a permit is a $250 fine. That $250 is well worth. Oh, and it's a misdemeanor, which means when you get caught, and you will eventually, um, you pay the fine and you go home tonight. You could literally go home tonight. $250 is well worth my life. I could get a concealed carry permit for free if I just hand over my DD 214, but concealed carry permit also means a paper trail. People are automatically going to know this guy has a gun. Why? If I can avoid that paper trail, I will. The first time I get busted, though, I guarantee you I will just go ahead and get the permit. Um, Busted once, you're a dumbass. Busted twice, the judge might not think you're just a dumbass. And don't carry guns into uh, courthouses, but I'll get into that story later. Carry everywhere, and don't be like me just because I said I can get away with it. I can get away with it doesn't mean it's a good idea. And I'll be talking about get away with it, not a good idea, next month when statute of limitations expires. Um, I see there's a question total, and I'll get to it in a second. Um, if you live in a constitutional carry state, which I think Colorado is, do it. Something a lot of people don't realize, yes, guns are great, but there are other options, especially if you're somebody who cannot have a gun, consider the alternatives. Anything that will give you that 2 second, give you the ability to force somebody else to think for 2 seconds about what he's doing, that you need to escape, do that. All right. I can't say on YouTube what kinds of options you have. Well, I can talk about one thing, a whip. All right. If you happen to have a whip, most people, they see the whip, they think it's a joke, right? Hell, I did the first time I saw somebody use a whip as a defensive tool. And then I saw him use it, or actually, I saw it used on him. And I realized, oh, even if it's somebody who has in his mind that he is going to kill today, somebody with a whip standing up to him is going to make him think twice for even the 2 seconds necessary to jump on him and beat him and take his gun from him. Anything, anything. Um, because these people weren't used to the idea of somebody coming in and shooting at them, a lot of the people at Pulse lost a huge opportunity to defend themselves by throwing drinks at the guy, throwing beer bottles at the guy. All they know is one moment it's great and grand, the music's playing, we're having a great all night, and the next minute the bullets are flying. They didn't have the presence of mind to think, throw a beer bottle at him. If they had had that presence of mind, yeah, they would have, some of them would have hit each other, but enough of those bottles would have hit the guy that they could have overpowered him. Lost opportunity. All right. Total Control asked, do you know how to make DIY body armor, firearms, and most importantly, ammo? How much fuel would you need to fire a furnace hot enough to forge steel? Okay, some of these questions I can answer, some of them I cannot. Do I know how to make DIY body armor? I've never done it, but ZNA, and it should be in my favorites or evidence, something like that, playlist. ZNA Productions actually made some DIY body armor. It stood up to 12 gauge buckshot. It did not stand up to 223. But he was using literally the cheapest possible solutions. And he even, Eli says that in his video. Um, if he had used slightly better materials, what would the result have been? I can tell you that the better your materials, the better your results will be each and every time. I know you can make steel plate armor, at least a little bit. And I'm just going to go there and say it. It is AR 500 body armor is actually made from target plate armor. I think they harden it a little bit and they form it a lot. But you know what? You have that, at least you have that little bit more protection. I'm just going to go there. Uh, okay. Firearms. I've never done it, but I do know the concepts of how to make DIY firearms. And I'm going to go one step further. Oops, wrong strap. First, check and clear. All right. I'm inserting a snap cap into my gun. Usually that works. Obviously, it was not this gun. I've only had this one 2 years now. But it's close enough for demonstration purposes. Right. Factory barrel, right? I'm in Virginia, and an old shipmate of mine catches up to me. He wants to talk to me. Yeah, okay. He asked me, do you still have that old 9mm? This was a M92. Yeah, go and get it. And I go and get it, and he spends about 2 hours from scratch making a lower receiver using mine as a template. We went out shooting, and sorry. Yeah, we went out shooting, and we had a great time. And yeah, this is fun. We're all done. And I say, you know what? Okay, you made your point. You can make a gun, but you can't make a barrel. He pulls the barrel out of my gun, my barrel out of my gun, right? And shows it to me. It was not my barrel. It was a homemade barrel. I did not speak to him for 2 weeks for him tricking me like that. I I legitimately was mad. First of all, I was butthurt that he got one over on me. Second of all, I was butthurt that he got one over on me and did this and didn't tell me about it. But you know what? He was right. Now, if you go through my playlist or my videos, I think it's most important videos, or is it gun mechanics? But maybe both. There will be a video called uh, oh hell, what did I name it? Anyway, it demonstrates uh, Farmcraft 101, making an AR-15 lower receiver, which is what Brent did with my M92. Tim the Idahoan making a 40 cal barrel out of a bolt. I'm not even kidding. It's part of his Idaho gun series. Just the barrel, rifling and all, using a $120, I think it is, Harbor Freight drill press, a $20 bottle jack, and a $40 chunk of drill steel. Yeah, that simple. So, no, I've never actually done it myself. Oh, and part of that video is D&G. D&G reloading 300 blackout for AR-15, which is for an AR-15 with black powder. And in the original video, he talks about just how far into the cheap he went. He went as and out of his way to do it as cheap and dirty as he could. And the only defect to that gun was it converted a gas operated gun into a bolt action gun, but the bolt would kind of partially cycle. I think he did have one successful um, uh, uh, cycle to clear a round or a shell, but it didn't cycle properly to reload. Okay, so now your AR-15 is a bolt action rifle. So what? I fired a bolt action machine gun once that was supposed to be automatic. That's your worst thing in your life. You're doing really good. um, so yeah, and high schoolers know how to make black powder. It's part of, well, it was when I was in high school. How to make black powder was part of high school chemistry. If you took that class, it's not that hard. The hard part is making shell casings because they actually do have to meet certain specifications. Again, I'm going to point out Tim tried to convert 5.56 into 300 Legend, and it didn't work out as well as he had hoped. It was really dirty and crude, and just was not, I think, what he was expecting it to be. But in a bolt action, lever action, or pump action rifle, gun of whatever sort, it would have been good enough for, yeah, well, it would have been good enough for criminal use after a total gun ban. As simple as that. Okay. Betty asks, this is why I like where I am. I can't carry a billy in my boot, but I can have a gun on my in my coat and it's fine. Elbow cough. So Betty cannot carry a billy, which I think she means baton, and generally speaking, a generally specific type of baton where the tip is wider than the grommets. She can't carry that in her boot, but she can have a gun in her coat. There's actually a lot of places, and well, I'm just going to go there. There's one city in Alaska, and it's the last place on Earth you'd think of. Iceland? I think it's Iceland, where by law, by municipal law, if you leave your house, you have to carry a gun. I want to say that the Alaska city is Anchorage. This is just the most totally shocking and insane thing ever. If you leave your house, you have to, and maybe in Alaska it's certain months, you have to carry a gun. It's because bears. In Alaska it's polar bears. In Iceland, no, it's Finland, and I forgot the city, but bears will attack people inside of city limits. It has happened before. So now the city made an ordinance saying you have to carry a gun in case of bears. This is not like the Kennesaw law where you have to own a firearm. You do not necessarily have to carry it. And there's just so many exemptions to the rule that it's not even funny. And worse still, there's no enforcement. I heard about the Alaska case because somebody was actually cited. I heard about the Finland case because of the Alaska case. And that's the real world. Oh, there's no bears in San Francisco or Appalachia, Florida, or wherever the hell it is. You know what? You're right. Bears walk on two legs. And sometimes they have a motivation other than hunger. That is the real world. Learn to accept it. Um, I'm looking over Total's question again, make sure I didn't. Oh, Total also asked, how much fuel do you need to fire a furnace hot enough to forge steel? I do not know. I am not a blacksmith, and I'm not even going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass. Right? I'm going to show you enough respect to say I don't know. Betty's saying Alaska, not mandatory. There's no state law. It's a municipal code, and I want to say it's Anchorage, but I could be mistaken. It's heavily encouraged, especially outside the cities. And believe it or not, outside of cities in Canada, it's also encouraged, but they restrict what you can have, especially as you go further north, because mainly of bears. Mooses have been known to be an annoyance, but bears are the dangerous ones. Bears are the ones that will attack people out of hunger, as opposed to moose, which will attack people for some other reason. And if you go out of your way to avoid a moose, I've never heard of a moose going out of its way to attack a human. Probably happened. I've just never heard of it. I got to throw a flag on the play, though. I said it's mandatory to carry a gun, and actually, the black letter law is. But does that city allow bear spray in place of guns? I don't know. It's like you're required to have a fire extinguisher in your house. Yeah, but do you need professional grade one? No. When the law was written, all that was out there was professional grade. Um, I am not ignoring people. I swear. Oh, I gotta finish my lecture on surviving. Right. So yeah, when you leave home, go where you need to go. Do what you need to do. Stay away from areas where you already know that there's going to be an ugly. And don't sit here and tell me, oh, they started it or they started it. I don't care. I actually don't give a fuck. Both sides can start it for all the difference it makes because once the fists start flying, it's all going to be over. Um, and try to avoid overly provocative declarations on the internet. All right. There's at least three people who've been in my live stream that know my real name. I don't know, a lot more than that. Anyway, um, some of them have even know me personally. Like there's one that had been to my house multiple times, and he's kind of butthurt that I went the direction I did because back then we were a lot closer together ideologically. So try to avoid making those clear pronunciations. Now, him and I have gone very, very different ways over a period of 2 decades. Um, it is what it is. He seems to think it's okay for him to make declarative statements, but not for me. Whatever, boomer. Betty says moose attack to protect young. If they are harassed, bears will attack you because you are lunch or you have lunch. Proven fact, it has happened. Again, I've never heard of a moose going out of its way to attack a human. Um, and if you have never heard of a bear going out of its way to attack a human, I don't know what special world you live in. Um, so stay away from known anywhere where you know there's going to be problems. If you live in a city where XYZ Street has a tendency to draw people who are out there to send, like Sacramento. If you live in Sacramento, stay off of K Street Mall if you can for the next 6 to 8 months, especially there at K and 8th, 7th. I think it's K and 7th, right there where Downtown Mall meets K Street Mall. Because, and if you're from Sacramento, you know what I'm talking about, right? Um, just and you can go as little as 2 blocks out of your way usually and avoid most of these people. You know it's going to be a big event. You might want to go more than a couple blocks out of your way. I used to live in Sacramento. Um, if I needed to take the light rail, which goes through K Street Mall, I would, and I was going that direction, I would probably, and I knew there was going to be a big event, I'd probably go on the other side of the Capitol building down to roughly 16th and pick up light rail 16th and, oh, no, 8th and O? I think it's 8th and O, something like that, and just avoid that part of town entirely. Um, Fortunately, usually what I needed was towards the south end, like Arden Fair. So whatever's going on at K Street, when I 7th and O station, get on to go south. I forgot what the station. for the north end is past K Street. Just avoid that part of town entirely. No problem. Um, no, that's not my life now. Things change. Uh, Stay away from the trouble areas. Carry, carry, carry all the time, every day. Be sure you know what your state laws are. Don't worry about your municipal ordinances as much. Focus on your state laws. Your municipal ordinances, all they can do is fine you. Believe me, $250 is worth your life. Your life is worth $250. All right. Um, like I said earlier, my state law is $250, $290, something like that. Fine for carrying concealed without a permit. That's that's worth my life. My local ordinance is nothing. The only thing the local ordinance says is you have to have a permit to carry concealed. Okay, so what? It's state law anyway. San Francisco, it's basically illegal to carry inside of city limits. Yeah, okay, what are they going to do? Fine you? Okay, trust me, it doesn't matter what the fine is. They can make it $2 million. It's still worth your life. By the way, there is a limit to what municipal ordinance fines can be, and it's still worth your life. Okay, we're about hour and 15 now. Um, and today is a special day. I'm going to have to close on time. So if you have questions, throw them out. Um, Worst case scenarios, I don't answer it. Big deal. Okay. Uh, because I will still take request topics. I got 45 minutes to go. Just saying. Um, Total Control earlier asked about DIY body armor. I'm going to include the link to Eli's project armor in the description for you. Hopefully, it'll be useful for others as well. Uh, Actually, you know what? I'm just going to include a link to all of the body armor makers that I know of in the description as well, in case you want to check that out. Total, if you're interested in forging steel, I strongly, strongly recommend you check out your local chapter of Society for Creative Anachronisms. Um, Not every chapter has a blacksmith, but every chapter knows a blacksmith. Part of the reason they exist. Very, very helpful people to know. Oh, actually, that's the only reason I'm a member of SCA. Well, flag on the plate. Crafting is the reason. Blacksmiths are one of the major crafters. Um, and I'd really like to see everybody ask a question at least. Kind of a new one. Fart whiff. Would F whiff. I'd really love to see that armor you were talking about earlier. I know you're going to send it to me on Discord. Not here for obvious reasons. Um, I'm a little more brazen. I give a fuck what YouTube thinks about me. They're just, they shut me down last month too. For those of you that caught that first live stream, it was on a Tuesday, I think. I don't remember exactly what happened, but they shut me down for 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks after that. So y'all were kind of circling around thinking, where's Carrie? Where's Carrie? Where's Carrie? He's supposed to be live streaming right now. Yeah, I was in YouTube jail. Uh, oh, Total Control says, I'll look into them, but the fake pandemic most likely has them shut down. You're right. You're right. Even the chapter that I went to kind of fell out. I asked them a couple of weeks ago if they were meeting again, and they said no, we're doing virtual meeting. So you know what? Contact them anyway. Get in touch and at least start getting an idea of who these people locally are and how to reach them once this bullshit is over. Because with Joe taking the White House, stealing the White House, he's going to lock us down for at least 6 months, which is meant to put the kettle to the flame. It's intended to create the tension and the frustration that leads to the riots. April, Mayish. I'm going to say that it was only meant to get that tension boiling so that one little thing will set it off. Um, and it's worked. All right. It happened in New York multiple times. Last time New York had a major blackout, everybody nationwide was preparing to hear about New York burning to the ground. Fortunately, it didn't work out that way. I don't know if there was a police show of force or the mayor asked everybody to remain calm and stay in your homes, or what the hell the secret ingredient to preventing the last major New York riot was, but it worked. And I'm going to say something. I, if I recall correctly, that huge blackout was also during the middle of a snowstorm, which drove people into their homes anyway. So it's cold, it's dark, can't turn the heater on, but you don't want to go outside. Uh Now they've got the this new round of lockdowns going on. It's going to drive that pressure up and up and up to try to force people into the streets to riot. And it's as simple as that. All right. Questions. Come on, guys. Y'all figured me out by now. I'm a horrible human being and I get angry very easily, but not irrational. As long as it's a reasonable question. When I'm reaching around like this, I'm actually switching between StreamYard and YouTube to check out how it's actually looking on YouTube. Also, remember, I opened this up to some people who I guess they didn't show. One of them, I know why. Should be asleep right now, but fingers crossed. Um, we got some dead air here going on, so What are some other subjects? Oh, in preparation for the next 2 years, have at least a month's worth of food for every member of your household, right? There's a couple of companies that have gotten in trouble. They say we sell a month's worth of food for a family for whatever, and then it got tested and it was a little less than a month, right? If you have any doubts at all, add more and have 10 gallon food grade buckets. Just put them in a corner, have lids, which means if you get them at Walmart, you got to buy the lid separately from the bucket. Be ready to fill them if you need to. That, and believe it or not, that's only 100 gallons worth of water. Like on the play, 90% of you will not go through the whole 100 gallons. All right. In the event of an outbreak of the kind of chaos we're talking about, your water supply might become iffy. All right. It's not that the water supply is going to be bombed. It's much more likely that a major blackout is going to cause, or a major riot is going to cause a blackout that affects the water pumping facilities. Now, on paper, they have redundancies. Yeah, but on paper, they also don't have people who are intending to cause that kind of trouble. It cannot hurt you to have a couple days worth of potable water just in case. And your first clue that something's wrong, lights go out about the same time you hear police sirens, right? That's when you fill that first bucket, turn on your emergency radio, and just listen to see what happens next. Uh, have at least one uninterruptible power supply, UPS. It's just basically a battery backup. I know my old man after Snowmageddon 2016, 2017, something like that. California had a huge snowstorm out of nowhere, knocked power out for a week. He ordered a couple of them, and they were only, it's like $150. And he's been ordering one every 6 months or so since then. But if you order one and have it ready to be plugged into your radio, especially, that's the most important thing. Your internet connection is very, very important. That radio is your local communications. You need that. Oh, and blankets. On a related note, if you have a blackout, get blankets and just put them over your windows, at least to hold in the heat during winter. Don't During summer you can pack them up into plastic bags, suck the air out, pack them away. But during winter you need to hold on to that heat. I know every so often somebody lights a propane barbecue or stove inside a house and they end up dead. It's not a safe practice. There are ways to make it less unsafe. I do not know what they are. I recommend against it unless you've gone way out of your way to find an effective means. I also know that when it gets particularly cold during blackouts, people have been known to start propane heaters. That's also not a safe practice. It's a lot easier to make that practice safe enough, but you still have to go out of your way to find out how to do it safely. What you do from there is on your own. I'm going to say I don't recommend it unless you've really gone out of your way. Total Control says, for your information, many cheap burner phones have AM/FM radio app built in. No phone service required. I did not know that. I know that there's phones with apps for AM/FM radio. I did not know that they have actual AM/FM no app radios built in. I'm going to have to check that out. I'd like to get rid of my current one anyway. Um, Very useful thing to know. The worst of any one city's given chaos will probably not be more than a week. And well before the week is out, services will start to come back. If water goes out, which could happen, that'll be literally the first thing they have to bring online. The next, and it's usually the easiest unless somebody's gone really out of their way to destroy water lines. The next one that will be brought online as quickly as possible is electricity. Got to get the power back on. After that, if you're in a city that's still dependent on gas for heating, you might be in kind of screwed for a while. But at least you'll have those back. Betty says, have lived on propane. It's not great and not easy. In some areas here, the tanks won't work if too cold. I was not aware that a propane tank could get too cold. That's good to know. It's not great. It's not easy. And you could actually survive on propane alone with no connection to the electrical grid. For those of you that don't know, I have plans to build my own little zombie fortress of doom. And yes, it'll be connected to the electrical grid, but because of a propane fueled generator system, I could actually cut that line and not even care. As a matter of fact, that's the first thing that goes in. The first thing that completely goes in is the propane generators in the basement connected to the huge propane tank. And that's actually the only propane I'll have. Propane to generator, generator to everything else. Total says, yes, they sell blankets specially made for propane tanks. Huh. Well, that's something new you learn every day. Blankets especially made for propane tanks. I've never even heard of such a thing. It's good to know. I would have just built a shed over the propane tank, but then again, maybe that'd make the problem worse. Um, Now, also where I'm planning on ending up is a very, very high humidity region. So draw your own conclusions and install a reverse osmosis system. So worst case scenario, I still have a gallon every day to work from. Actually, it'd be a lot more than a gallon, but how many gallons is dependent on how much money can be raised for that. Um, and yeah, my dad's place up in Washington, all propane. Well, no, that's not true. He has a generator for radio and to recharge the phone because he has no cell signal out there. It's incredible. There's a place on Earth that has literally no cell signal. Can't even get satellite signal in there. I don't know how he's going to survive without game shows, but anyway, um, everything else, the stove, the heaters, all of it, anything that needs to produce any kind of heat is propane, and he wants to convert his gas fueled generator to propane as well. Oh, and there's no electrical grid. There's This is a part of the country that has never had electricity. Has never had an electrical line run through it. The nearest one, well, no, that's not fair. The nearest one is actually about a mile away, but it's those huge robot-sized towers, and it literally runs about 20 miles away before it connects to anything. There are parts of the country that have never seen electricity, people. Here it is, 21st century, and we still have people that don't have electricity, and they're happy. And I'm not talking about somewhere in Appalachia or Amish country or the Badlands of Arizona and New Mexico. I'm talking about Washington State, and not really that, about an hour's drive from the state capital, hour and a half, something like that. No electricity, and there's even electricity lines running through the area, not connected, no grid. Um, I have to admit, I never ever thought my anybody in my family would live in a region like that until my old man explained he picked it for that reason. Oh, he's got a mailbox. That's his connection to the outside world there. Um, he would actually love to get television, except that the mountain is just in the way. So there's no way. Well, there'd be a way to get a signal in, but he'd have to go to the top of the mountain, install the antenna there, and then run it down to the house. That means 400 foot straight climb up to install about a $2,000 antenna. Okay, Betty says a lot of dry cabins here use diesel. You'll see huge barrels rigged up to the back of cabins. Yeah, diesel will store longer and more stable. Um, until about 5 or 6 years ago, it was also cheaper. The efficiency of diesel generators versus others for household use is debatable. For anything above that, diesel generators just blows away everything. Total says smart move. Many buy cheaper gas generators for power outages, but completely clueless that gas pumps are electric. Propane can be bought with no pumping required. Um, okay, so Total is talking about different types of generators. The gas pumps are electrically powered, but as long as you can get your generator started, you're okay. Then you have to have the fuel in cans or something you can get to that doesn't involve a gas station, put it very bluntly. Um, there's a video on YouTube, and I sent it to my old man to convert a gas generator to propane. I think it was propane. I hope he watched it, and I hope he could use that information. And if you find it, enjoy. Betty, then we have people building wood fire saunas, how some shower here and burning down their whole property because of inefficiency. Inefficiency or failure to properly plan how to build a fire. Because an inefficient fire is not usually dangerous. Um, Maybe they failed to clean their flues, their chimneys. I'm kind of confused there. But either way, that's kind of the more long-term crisis. You've fortified your house in zombie territory. Um, and I'm going to say something that will piss off a lot of people. The zombies, at least of Dawn of the Dead 2005 and Walking Dead. Okay, 2005 was more an allegory to religious extremists. Remember, we're just coming off of 9/11. We're still uh, the soul. We still haven't sutured all of the wounds of 9/11 at that point. The Walking Dead, they were talking about more than just religious extremists. Um, and getting right to the point here, uh, Antifa. Antifa is this ideological successor to, it appears to becoming the ideological successor to ISIS. Well, no, they are. How they managed to accomplish that, I'm pretty sure nobody fully understands. Betty says a bit of both. They build the fire too hot and the roof catches. Oh, okay. Here's a dirty little secret about fire that I learned in the Guard. Let's say you have an engine room fire on a ship, and just forward of that engine room is berthing space. Why do you put a firefighter down in the berthing space if the fire's in the engine room? Well, it's because the fire can actually set the mattresses and the uniforms and even the paint on fire if it gets hot enough. This bit of both, they build the fire too hot and roof catches, has as much to do with an improperly built fireplace as, or hearth or whatever as anything else. For those of you that are computer experts, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, shit built, shit burned, whatever you want to call it. You start with something that was designed for this purpose and build up from there. Now they built a fire that was maybe rated, they bought a good fireplace, but it was rated to, 500 degrees or whatever. They build a 700-degree fire in there. Fireplace isn't going to handle that. And that's the good ones, the ones that I unfortunately am kind of familiar-ish with. This was about 10 years ago. Somebody actually built a fire in a fireplace, and it was a brick fireplace. So it was a good fireplace, but he built it way, way too hot by adding gasoline to what was a wood fireplace. And he says he was only using the gasoline to start the fire. Well, yeah, What did you expect? That's the good ones. The bad ones are somebody who didn't even try to do it the right way from the ground up. Um, the pure radiated heat, in some of these cases at least, catches the roof, or more likely the insulation, because remember, insulation is really flammable. If well, there's a couple of insulations that are non-flammable, sawdust primarily, but typically your pink fiberglass insulation is extremely flammable. And now it's getting hot from the fire that you built. It was probably too hot for the rated environment or rated equipment anyways. So yeah, do not exceed manufacturer specifications. And when in doubt, don't. Okay. Um, I know a little bit about uh, wood burners. Um, I know the bigger it is, bigger the fire you build, bigger it is, the more expensive it is. I also know that if you bought it new, you got it with manufacturer specifications. Do not exceed. My family, I grew up with a wood stove. I used to build fires that were way too hot for the wood stove to handle, right? I almost became that guy. I know that I was building them hotter than the fire or the wood stove was rated for because the metal at the back was badly distorted. Now, it took something like 20 years for it to achieve that. So I didn't go too bad, but I shouldn't have done that. I was young and stupid and thought, the more wood you put in, the longer the fire lasts now. Well, yes, but no. That's not the whole story, is it? Mm, so, yeah, use care and caution. When in doubt, don't. Wait for summer and ask somebody, a professional, if you have to. Um, think about it like trying to survive a couple of days of camping. That's the best place to start from. If you can camp for a couple of days in the woods, you can camp on your living room, no problem. And you can camp longer because it's a wood tent over you, as opposed to the wind howling on your tent. Um, I know Troll said hi as he came in, and then I don't see him having come back. I know Foss was here, so come on, guys, hit me with real or dumb question. I don't care. Stay away from known troubled areas, especially if you get any kind of warning. And as you're going along, I don't care how important it is. If you start to see a crowd form and they don't look happy, turn around, go the other way. And if that forces you to make a couple of implications, implications, racist, sexist, whatever, make them walk away from the problem before it starts. I'm going to bash on Minneapolis here a little bit. People were walking up to this scene where Floyd and Chauvin were having their first and last meeting, and started butting into the situation. And you can see that this thing is getting ugly really, really fast. People are getting upset. Whoever it was that was recording this moment with the woman yelling at the cop should have taken a hint, turned around, and walked away. This thing was going to explode here in about 2 seconds. A matter of fact, if those four cops had known in that moment the things that they were going to learn a week or two later, they probably would have already called for an ambulance. They would have known what was wrong. Unfortunately, they didn't know what was wrong. They only knew that they had this guy who was freaking out over a counterfeit $20 bill that may not even have been his 20. Believe it or not, people get counterfeit money all the time. It's happened to me. Never a $20 bill, but some others. There's two kids running a lemonade stand. They got a counterfeit $100 bill. People felt bad for them. It got like $1,000 mailed in. Hey, good for you. Um, People felt bad about these two kids running a lemonade stand and getting ripped off. For me, it was a $5 bill that I walked into a bank, and I said I need the money in fives and tens. One of my $5 bills was counterfeit. And I didn't even find out until like 2, 3 days later when I tried to use it. How do you get a counterfeit bill out of a bank? Well, really simple. They're processing a couple thousand bills every day. That one slipped through. Total, take it easy. And yeah, keep calm, mandatory, carry on. Um, hell, uh, Floyd was just a guy. He's not a professional. He's not an expert. He got this maybe fake $20 bill, but then he freaks out over that. Why? Why are you freaking out over a $20 bill? Turns out there was more going on than the 911 call carried, isn't it? Right. As far as I can tell, only Betty's in here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up myself. To the entire RNC and the DNC and all the others, nobody likes spam. Knock it off. That's what the two rings during the live stream have been. I was actually hoping somebody else, but Betty, stay safe too. Remember, keep calm, mandatory, carry on. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap it up there. Um, get body armor, carry, carry all the time. If you have to get a concealed carry permit, and I mean have to, do it. Otherwise, the fine's worth it at least the first time. Just carry. and stay away from the trouble areas.